Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Sorry that it has been like over a week since I've posted here. For those who follow on Twitter, y'all know that today is in fact my father's birthday, but he passed away right at a year ago. Then we lost, Meemaw last week. So it's just been one of those where individually nothing really tends to get to me that much, but just as it all kind of culminates together. Anyway, so it's just been one of those things where I just took some time, mental health week, if you will. So I appreciate y'all's patience. I thank y'all for supporting even with that, because if I'm not making videos, I'm not on YouTube, I'm not making money. So I definitely appreciate y'all loving on us and being there, and those who have checked in, I really appreciate it. So today in the video, I want to take a look at the pass rush and defensive line as a whole. And, after I've gone through and watched the first 5 games a few different times, I feel like I get an idea of some of the things that are wrong, but also some of the things that might seem wrong that aren't necessarily wrong, but are simply a certain way because of what the team is trying to do. What I mean by that is, any given game, as you look at the film, it's not just as much the how are they doing it, it's why are they doing it this way. And what I mean by that is, if you take a look at the offense, and it's easy to see with the offense, you can see the offense, oh, well, they're definitely trying to, make this play happen for this reason. They're trying to exploit this weakness in the defense, or they're going for this angle. And it's a little bit easier to pick out. Defensively, because defense is such a reactionary layer to the sport, defense can be harder to kind of pick up those notes, because defense is trying to prevent what it thinks the offense is doing, where the offense tends to do more dictation. Now, really good defenses can dictate, but that's not always going to be the case for what we're looking at. So I want to focus on today, or maybe some of the strategies that you'll see the New Orleans Saints defensive line doing, which is probably just being coached out by Ryan Nielsen, Dennis Allen, and then see how that translates to the field and try to pick some of those up. Because one of the biggest questions for, I think, most fans right now coming into the bye week and leaving the bye week was, why is this one of the worst teams in the NFL in terms of sack rate, yet one of the best teams when it comes to pass rush as a whole in terms of pressures and QB hits? They have very high numbers, but they don't have any sacks. I think there's a combination of answers for that, and the game that I chose to really show this off is going against the Giants in Week 4. And the reason I chose this is because this is not the only game, but this is one of quite a few games so far where you've got a mobile style quarterback, a quarterback who is definitely a pocket passer, but one who can move, get out the pocket, and make plays happen with their feet. And that's something that the New Orleans Saints have been worried about, especially with the injuries that they've had to some of the key players who can cover well, like Quan Alexander. Obviously, we've had the issues along the defensive line, and while that doesn't necessarily play as much into coverage, not having David Onyemata as an interior pass rush presence, not having Marcus Davenport on the outside, all these things do, turn into issues when you have more than one and it all adds up. So defensively, you have to account for that. So I'm going to focus on it now. We're going to focus on this box right here, but we will probably end up talking about things that happen in the grander scope of the defense. But let's start with it here in the first quarter, which honestly the first quarter is probably the best for this defensive unit in terms of the defensive line, and talk about some of the good, some of the bad, and how they're playing it, because you'll see a lot of rotations in this game as well. So the first thing what you know as we get into the end zone angle here is, and this is on a first down, and this is definitely an expected run play, you got Passignon, who's been arguably your best, and I don't even know if it's arguable, I think he really has been the best defensive lineman they've had. Great free agency acquisition. Peyton Turner has been solid as a rookie, but injuries I think have slowed him down here in the past few games. Davenport obviously been injured. Cameron Jordan has not shown up as a pass rush presence, but a major force as a run stopper. And then we've got our interior guys like Shai Tuttle, Malcolm Roach, etc. So let's take a look at this play. And this is definitely, we plan on run stopping. We feel like this is a run play, so we have a run set defensive line. It's a good job here taking on the double team. We talk all the time about that drop leg technique. Needs to extend this back leg real quick. Doesn't do that. That's probably the only flaw. Doesn't extend that back leg to fully lock it out. Fantastic job by Passignon at the end. Take on the pulling blocker behind the line of scrimmage, jam it up, and then go in and make the tackle. So it's a fantastic job by Passignon, and a good job, almost a perfect job next to him. Good job taking on the double team. You always want to take on the inside guy's shoulder with the double team. You want to attack inside, you want to split them, and then you want to drop that leg and plant. A little bit of lockout there is what you would want a little bit more of, but still ends up working out. Great job collapsing down by Passignon, and then taking on the blocker. Good job to kind of used their momentum against him. You see, he didn't really just dive into him. He basically tried to deflect him outside. It's a really good job. Now, this is something that we've seen when they've come out in the sets designed for certain plays, they've done well. And what I mean by that is, like, when they know a run play is there, they can get the scheme and the players on the field to make that happen. The issue I think that they have found is that this year is not a year where they have players who can do everything equally well. And that includes Cameron Jordan, who is not equally as good in the pass rush right now as he is as a run stopper. Now, at the same time, this is kind of like a design boot, so not necessarily a defensive line play. At the same time, the Saints had one of the highest double team rates along the edge. That's Cameron Jordan, Peyton Turner, Marcus Davenport, even Carl Granderson to a degree, all get double teamed at a far higher rate than most players at their position. This is because you don't have a lot of interior pressure. Your best interior pass rusher is the guy getting the deflection right here, Tano Passignon, who is an outside defensive end. He's built exactly like Peyton Turner, exactly like Marcus Davenport. And while those guys can come inside, they are not going to be that power threat that can really break through the anchor of a guard or a center. So that becomes a difficult task where it actually makes it easier for the offensive line because they know that they can focus on the exterior, focus on those chip blocks, focus on slide outs, focus on those jump sets if you're an offensive tackle to just go out there and not worry about the inside. And there you go right here. We got Cam taking a heavy chip and then right tackle, just jumping straight out because they don't have to worry about a stunt game on the inside. They don't have to worry about anything right now because they know that this defensive line cannot beat them. And you saw Peyton Turner ended up with a double team there. We're blitzing from the outside. We're using a safety on the interior, which they're not even bothering with the safety. I mean, they don't even care. They're focusing on the big scary D lineman and letting a corner come free off the edge. I'm sure there's some talk in their room about that. But in general, this is what the Saints have been showing where they can't prove consistency in the interior of their pass rush, so teams aren't really respecting it. And they are willing to say, cool, we'll let you rush how you want to rush until you can prove that you can beat us. Now let's move on to another run play. It's a good job by Cameron Jordan working down. You see him get that extension in, lock it out so that he can then work down the line of scrimmage and maintain that leverage. It's also a good job by everybody else. But look who else we got inside with Cameron Jordan right now. That's Carl Granderson. That is is not exactly the optimal. Sorry, I thought it was 9.6. I was like, geez, they put Carl Granderson there. He's at the end. He did look kind of thick, and that was the wrong hair. But he's at the end here where Carl Granderson is not a fantastic run stopper, but you've got a bunch of, I hate to say word like this, no-name guys. You got Malcolm Roach, who does not secure that double team we talked about and ends up getting driven off his one. Cameron Jordan's the one that makes the play. Watch it again. So Cameron Jordan is the backside guy, has to come make this play because nobody else really does it. Now, taking on that double team here, once again, you don't have the drop leg technique. This is not a solid double team either. It's just kind of hands-on. There is no good breaching a double team, forcing that back in. You've seen it in some of the past film studies where you use that drop leg technique, you lock out your hip, and you can't be moved. They're not doing that here. Carl Granderson has gotten turned out. That's a loss. You've got Roach on a one-on-one getting pushed back 3 yards. That's a loss. If it's not for Cameron Jordan, this play is probably lost. But that's kind of where the defensive line is at. It's where individually some of these guys can win, but you're not at the level where you were, especially when you had a little bit more money as a team, where Malcolm Brown is definitely reliable. You know what he can do. You see another attempt at a drop leg right there by Malcolm Roach against this double team. This isn't even a run stop. This is a double team on Roach where, hey, there's 95 again, 96, running this set quite regularly. See, double team again, still that drop leg is just not there. So, and this is just a pass play. I mean, it's just probably an option. And no pass rush. So look at it from the outside. This is one of the rare one-on-ones that you'll consistently see. And Cam Jordan nor Carl Granderson can win. They do a great job. Remember I talked about where you're not worried about the pass rush. You can be more aggressive on the outside. Well, you just saw this right tackle jump set into Cam Jordan. And what I mean by that is, so there are multiple techniques that an offensive lineman will use. One of the techniques, and I'll try to draw them in the background real quick. So let's just say you've got a right tackle. I'm going to do a quick little drawing right here. So there's your right tackle, center, dude. So we're not worried about those, but you assume they're there. And this is Cam. Right there. Okay, so there's the X. So there's several different techniques that an offensive lineman can use. One of them is a vertical set, which means that you're just going to drop straight back and wait for them to come to you. Then you have a 45, which, as the name would imply, is a 45-degree set where you're going at an angle while not giving up too much ground, trying to close out the space if you know that they're rushing out the outside. The other is a jump set, which is you attack directly and you go straight for them. You get in their grill as soon as they're coming off the line. Now, there's dangers to this. One of the biggest dangers to a jump set is worry of the interior attack, because if you jump set and they are attacking down or they're hitting with a stunt or something like that, you're going to lose. If you have, for example, this player right here. So this is your 3 techs, say a David Onyemata, and you try to jump set Cameron Jordan, but David Onyemata crashes down on you and carries the guard with him into you, you're ripped, because Cam's just going to swoop around as you would expect from a stunt. But when you don't have the fear of these type of combinations or these various inside moves, you could be more aggressive as a tackle. And that's what's happening with Cam. Cam just got jump set right before he couldn't even make a move. Now, let's watch it, rewind it again. You see Cam just kind of gets shut down completely and goes into, okay, now I need to look and see what's happening. All right, right here. And bam, jumped right into him. That's not even a perfect jump set. That's just he's already got contact before he can even do anything, make a move. So now he's just extending and he's in containment mode. And he could have been in a containment call to begin with. But the point was, there's no fear there. We can be aggressive. Let's look at the other side, how it worked for Carl Granderson. And this is how teams are playing the Saints defensive line right now. There's no fear from the Roaches and the Shy Tuttles. There's nothing there. Looks like we got a similar situation over here on the left tackle side. Just go straight at them. Get right in their grill and take away. So you've got Granderson who's just lined up because the tight end would be about right here. So it's kind of a wide 9. It's a 7. It's a 9. He's outside. So let's see what this left tackle does. That's... I'd say it's a jump. I mean, it's close to being a 45. He does have a little bit of a backwards angle, but essentially a jump set. You see he went square up on Granderson right there, locked up, because we're not worried about this. We're not worried about this. It's covered. We're not worried that your interior is going to come attack us. We even got a massive lane that Pete Warner can just come up here, but he's reading the play. My Madden pen's going crazy. So you can see how a defensive line that isn't performing at a high level at every position is a lot easier to attack. You know Cameron Jordan's your best player. Well, if Cameron Jordan is their best player or their edge rushers are their best player, then I need to attack them. I need to be aggressive with them. Sometimes you can't do that. If you have to fear everybody along the line. I mean, one of the best years, going back, 3 years ago, is when this team had, Cameron Jordan playing at an elite level. You had Sheldon Rankins, David Onyemata in the middle, and Marcus Davenport. And when you had all 4 of those on the line, there's nothing that you could do. You could not pinpoint any of them. Sheldon Rankins was an elite in that year, going back 2018, was an elite in that year 3 tech as a technique guy. He had amazing speed to power. He had a fantastic spin move. He could beat you that way. Onyemata could beat you with raw strength. Cameron Jordan could beat you anyway because he was just the height of his career. And Davenport was a dominating rookie who could beat you with just physical force. So you couldn't just jump set these guys, and you had to worry about the twist stunt game. And we talked about how Sheldon Rankins and Cameron Jordan would run. They had independent ability. So they were given the ability by the coaches, call your own stunts, call your own plays, you make it happen. As an offensive line, you can't just stop that. You have to prepare for that. You have to know what's coming for you to attack it. It's the difference between, we were talking about at the beginning of the video, being reactionary and being the one that dictates the line of scrimmage and dictates what's going on. This defensive line for the New Orleans Saints cannot dictate the line. They cannot tell the offensive line how to play and how to prepare. It's doing it the opposite way. So they're essentially working from behind. Now, there is talent there, and I'm not saying that they're bad, but you're looking at a line right now that is giving, at a goal line situation, 3.5, 4 seconds to throw the ball. And I feel like the secondary for the Saints is fantastic, and I feel like they have made up for some of this. But one of the biggest issues with this defensive line right now, that you'll see throughout this video, is there's simply no respect for the interior. Thus, we can attack the exterior with abandon and not worry about that burning us. Now, in run plays, the Saints still, I think, do very solid as defensive line, if not very good in run plays. And here's another example. This is a fantastic job stopping in a short yardage gain, getting a stop and making it happen. It's a good job to attack down inside. I love this. The run plays and pass plays are very different. And this is why you'll see pressures happen, but you won't see the sacks happen. You'll see maybe we can get some exterior pressure, but we won't get it because they can step up in the pocket. It's a good job to collapse down by everybody. Good job by Shy Tuttle there, eating that gap. Ends up being a tackle for loss. But here's another one. This pressure is going to be Demario Davis. But look at the line, across the line as we look at this. And good coverage by Debo. Good coverage. Okay, let's look at it here. So once again, we've got Cam playing a wide 9 technique. Wide 9 being the 2-point stance he's at, but you don't have to be in a 2-point stance to be in a wide 9. But he's outside where the tight end would be. That's the wide 9. You got the same thing from Carl Granderson on the opposite side. Shy Tuttle. We got everybody lined up. We've got Demario Davis showing the A gap. We got the B gap with Warner. So we've got most of our gaps covered. And here we go. Warner's on the blitz. And then we're going to just wrap Demario Davis around him. Good job. But you can see there's nothing on the edge. That counts as a pressure. And Demario Davis makes the play. But we had to rush 2 linebackers to get that. We had to rush 1 linebacker to cover the block, a second linebacker to loop around it. Now here we get the chip. We've got to avoid that. Do we have one on the other side with Carl Granderson? So Cameron Jordan getting extra attention. We got to avoid it. So he's got to fight through hands. That slows him down by about a second. Half second to a second. It's going to take him longer to get there. No chip on the outside for Carl Granderson. He's got no shot. It's just a really, really good job by the left tackle. Remember, this was the offensive line that's supposed to be a lot weaker than the Saints defensive line. It was supposed to be one that they could take advantage of. This wasn't the case. Move on to the next one. So now we're showing a 3-line set where we actually have like a bear type of front, but we're doing it with 2 linebackers sugaring down. Here we go. So it's passing Yon right over the center. There's that stunt play we talked about. One of the few times that we get a little bit of success there is it being an incomplete pass on a 3rd down. Now, how does this work? So we talk about them running stunts. They brought in passing Yon to do this. This is how I talked about if you can show this type of threat consistently, then teams have to prepare for it. Well, Passignon is going to line up as a 0. This is a nose, just a straight 0, but he's going to attack down and do a very wide stunt. It's a very wide stunt. Usually you don't see them become this long because you're crossing 3 gaps. That's how far Cameron Jordan's got to go here. But it ends up working out. So we've got Caden Ellis right there inside right over the right tackle. It's a tan-0-tan alignment. Remember that tan, be tackle, 0, tan. But instead, we've got them on the line of scrimmage instead of lined up in the back. So remember we talked about tan-0-tan being a linebacker alignment where you would have the linebacker here, linebacker here, linebacker here. We took the same idea. We just shoved it on the front. So kind of like how you do a traditional 3-4. Except now we're using 2 linebackers. None of that meant anything. It just reminded me of tan-0-tan. So anyway, look, so you can tell I'm out of the work. All right, there it is. So we've got Caden Ellis. His whole job is to clear down. That's all he's trying to do is eat up these 2 guys. And then this guy, Passignon, he's attacking this shoulder. All of this just for 1 man to get through. All of it. And it worked. Bam. Now Caden Ellis has to do a good job to cover the outside. He's got to make sure that he wraps around, doesn't get caught in the trash, because he's responsible for actually getting this sack if it boots out. So it's a nice play. It's essentially an elongated stunt where we're going to crash down, loop around. And it works, but this is a design that they had to call. You saw Cameron kind of leaning on it a little bit, Jordan leaning on it. This is not they called this at the line. This was coach said run this. It's not something that they are in a position at the moment to consistently do by themselves and have success. Now we've got Peyton Turner down here on the bottom with triple team. We got a chip and a double. I mean, this dude has gotten a lot of respect early on. I'm really impressed with it. But look at this, man. Not only has he got a double there, he gets a chip for you don't even need to chip him there. Like if I'm the receiver, I just go out of my route. There's no reason to chip. And then you got no pass rush anywhere, no movement at all from the interior. None. I mean, it is stagnant. And I realize that they are trying to anticipate a potential run here. But even then, there's that drop leg technique that's not even a solid drop leg by Shy Tuttle. Absolutely no movement by Roach. And you can tell that he's trying to play gap there. But you still want to be able to push back when you're playing gap. So when I'm talking about playing gap and containment, it means that you're trying to peek. See how he's got control of the inside and you're trying to peek the gaps to make sure that he doesn't run? At the same time, when you're doing this, and if you want good examples of this, I wish I could just throw it on the screen, but I don't have it handy. A good example of this is go back to watch Sheldon Rankins or David Onyemata from a year or two ago, and how they would take the same situation. They would make this containment, but they would still walk their guy back 2 or 3 yards. And that's enough to put pressure on the quarterback. You don't want to give him this clean, perfect pocket. And that's what we said. He's just sitting here chilling. He's got a full second to make a throw, to make a read. You are going to have a full 5-step drop here from under center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sit, look around, chill, have a mimosa. Ain't nothing going on because there's no pressure. There's no interior rush. And you're relying mostly on a guy. The only person who has a legitimate shot is this guy, because he's supposed to be a high-end edge rusher, but he's an undrafted free agent who has not perfected his craft. That's where the Saints are at. It's the hard truth because we want to talk about how great these guys are. And I think that there's phenomenal talent that you'll see flash. Peyton Turner's a rookie. You see the flash. Carl Granderson, man, I've talked about it. I've shown film on him. You see the flash, but it's not consistent. And you can't expect consistency every play from players who are just flash players for now. Now, I really like that about Peyton Turner. And you can just tell that he's the best defensive lineman on the field right now. One, because Cam's not there. But nobody else is coming close to doing what he's doing. And he's also got to be healthy to do this consistently. So he's had, arm issues. You got Passignon on the opposite side. And once again, the same, duo that we've had in the interior. Watch this again. Trying to come inside, try to run a stunt there. Nothing. Look at. I'm not trying to do this as a Saints hate episode. But if you're trying to do another elongated stunt with you wrap around, this dude failed his job badly. It's awful. Absolutely nothing. And if this guy, if the lead on the point, the wrap on the stunt doesn't work, then you wasted multiple people. Waste. It's a good job by the offensive lineman picking it up, but you know how easy it is to pick up when that guy's moving so slow, so sluggish, is not getting to his points on time. Yeah, Peyton Turner's the only reason that does anything. So they tried to call a stunt, but the guys aren't good enough to execute it. If I'm going to call a stunt here, honestly, I'm going to do some trickery. I'm going to put Cam out here. So I'm just spitballing. I put 94 in here, and then I put Passignon over here. So change the 70 to a 90. And then I do Cam down and Shy Tuttle down because they're going to respect Cam. And then I wrap Passignon, who does have the athletic ability to get this around if you want to run these wide stunts. I got no clue why you want to run a wide stunt with frickin' Malcolm Roach. It's just nope. That's a big whole bunch of nope. Shout out to the offensive line for reading it and picking it up. But that's where you're at. David Onyemata, scary running that. Oh, gosh. Dude, he's going to barrel somebody. He's going to hump move them. Old Reggie White is going to throw an offensive lineman to the ground. Not what the Saints currently have. And that's why you hope getting him back in a couple weeks changes the game for them. But right now, it's a lot of blah. It's a lot of blah. And the good thing is, even with blah, they're still playing at a very high level as a team, as a unit. They're a very good unit. They flow well together. They all understand their assignments. And I think that Passignon has been just a fantastic free agency pickup that we don't talk about enough. Because even here on this read, he reads the screen and goes after it. And this dude has played so well, playing in multiple positions, that he's not even athletically the best suited for. David Onyemata is a way better 1 or a 3 tech than Passignon is, but the dude will line up outside, inside, and he'll perform better than guys that you would expect to be physically better suited for that role. And there he is fighting inside, basically fighting through a double team once again, because you got to put him in the interior. And who whiffed on that? That was a hell of a whiff on that tackle. I got to call somebody out for that whiff. Was that Chauncey? Who whiffed? Oh, it was a block. Okay, so Debo was being blocked. Still think he should have fought for that. But that was a heck of a whiff. All right, come through. Don't call for that block. Come on, man. We're not about to do that today. Moving on. So now we got another play here. That play action. And I'm wondering if this is on Pete Warner, because you see Cameron Jordan attack down as if he does not have the outside gap assignment. So I assume this is actually on Pete Warner, not Reed, because he's supposed to have this backside. Because Cam's got the interior. Yeah, that's on Pete Warner. So Pete Warner gets beat. He's a rookie. It happens. He's supposed to have that backside contained, and he just gets beat on that one. Let's move on to the next one. I think this is, it's a handoff. And interior getting mollywopped. Let's watch it. So anytime you see a lane open like that, somebody got turned perpendicular. That's not good. So we've got a one tech exact. So their goal is to clear out this A gap. This is where the ball is going. So see how it happens. So Malcolm Roach actually makes their job a little bit easier by crossing gaps, but then he gets destroyed by a double team as well. So the Saints made it a little bit easier on them by Malcolm Roach crossing the gap, but ain't nobody doing anything anyway. So made it easier. Double team on Granderson. You got no movement by Junior there. That's an easy run. Shout out Demario Davis for making the tackle. So that one's kind of, okay. That's just kind of like a bad call. Like, if you stunned inside to win and they run right where you left, that's just kind of some bad luck. And this one you see a little bit of pressure, not necessarily great pressure, but a little bit of pressure here. Just a straight bull rush. But since there's nothing from anybody else, this just counts as like a pressure and then a big completed pass. So you got nothing from top right here, trying to long arm, that doesn't work, and then no counters. That's one thing with young pass rushers or not as adept pass rushers that you can notice is they've got one move they're going to try, and if it doesn't work, that's it. No counters to deploy, nothing. You got Cameron Jordan literally getting a chip and a double team treatment. Another double team right there in the middle. But look at right above us right here. Absolutely nothing. There's no counter. We basically attempted a long arm, tried to get inside, then tried to extend it. It didn't work. That's it. We ain't got nothing. No forklift, no rip swim, no spin move collapsing the elbow, no counter to what the left tackle did. Left tackle just took away the hand, and I got nothing I can do. And that doesn't mean he can't get better. That's just an example of, hey, high end versus low end versus depth versus medium, etc. Pass rushers. So I think that what we've gone over so far, in my opinion, give you a good idea of where I feel like the Saints defensive line is at. I feel like there are guys like Shy Tuttle who could do individual things pretty well. I am upset that we went through this and I didn't see a single drop leg technique that I'm personally happy with. Coach Nielsen could be happy with it because of the effect, but I was always taught you actually drive that knee into the ground, you attack the inside shoulder, and then you lock out that back leg because it creates massive leverage for you. It's really impossible to move somebody head on when they drive that in. You lock out your hip and it is really tough to move. But all that aside, as a whole, you're obviously not seeing success as a unit consistently. You'll see it in the run game because I feel like that's where they can do a little bit more dictation just by being better. But pass rush is a nuance, and pass rush is probably the hardest thing to do on defense, because you're trying to outsmart, outpower, and outgun 300-pound people 2 feet in front of you. Now, athletically, it's definitely harder to be a cornerback. But in terms of technique, pass rush is right up there, if not higher than corner. Corner needs both. Corner, you have to be good technique and an elite athlete. But an elite athlete can make up for poor technique. It's not often an elite athlete can make up for just not having good technique in the NFL. You'll see it sometimes, like you've seen some of Davenport's sacks where you just over brute force somebody, and that does happen. It's not super common. It's actually more common for the high technique guys to outperform the athletes. And you're not really going to do that at corner. You've got to be a good athlete. I'm sorry. Just tell me I'm wrong in the comment section below, but if a guy's a 4'6", 5'10" corner, he's probably just going to get beat a lot. Even if he's got good technique, because you've got to be a high-end athlete to play that skill position. It's too demanding of the human body. You've got to be very talented physically. Whereas Trey Hendrickson is not the most physically talented individual, but is a very good pass rusher because he's perfected his technique. And you saw that last year. He's actually doing pretty well for Cincinnati this year. So you've got to have a very, very high football IQ, and you got to be able to deploy moves and preparations and pass rush plans, which is like playing chess. You're thinking long term. How am I setting up this offensive lineman in the first quarter for how I'm going to attack him in the third quarter? All this is something that you have to go through. And the Saints just aren't there. They don't have guys who are there. Cameron Jordan, if he wasn't getting double teamed and getting as many chips, probably could help a lot more than he is in this regard. I don't think that he's washed, but I don't think he's a 13-sack guy right now. He's 5 games and no sacks. So anyway, this is what I thought, and hopefully you enjoyed the film study. I definitely feel like I'm kind of out of it based on just the past week. Definitely feel a little bit of rust and everything, but hope you enjoyed it. I should probably actually go shave too. Anyway, who dat? God bless. I love y'all. Greatly appreciate y'all watching the channel. Smash the like button. Follow if you haven't already. And share this out with everybody so that they can see some Saints defensive line film study and some of the technique and me rambling about things I shouldn't have even rambled about. If you watched to the end, let me know. Y'all are awesome. Deuces. That's me. I'm outie. Bye.